she was courageous. She moved everywhere, moved to places that were completely foreign to her, including a foreign country, and she didn't let what other people thought or what standards were in place for women at that time stop her from doing the things that she wanted. And she was a good role model, you know, to us girls, that you can do what you want. You know, she was also one of, you know, when I was a kid, she was like the only divorced mom. You know, I mean, divorce, there's good, there's bad, but, you know, she did it, and she held her head high, and she didn't let it stop her from doing anything that she wanted to do.
Except that I remember we were always happiest when we were traveling around.
Yeah.
Taking trips together, and she would drone on incessantly, pointing out all of the historical points and giving us all the information like a tour guide. I remember that. She always seemed really at ease when we were on vacation.
My mom's gonna be remembered as a very, very giving person. If somebody needed help and she could do it, she would do it. Monetarily, time, advice. She would help people do taxes or file bankruptcy, or give them money for rent, loan them money so that they could get a place to live. She was always us, like her kids. Man, she gave us all sorts of money and sent us on vacations. And
she'd tell us to do the laundry. She'd say, "Honey, be sure you get those coloreds separated from the whites." And every time I'd be like, "Holy God, Mother, you can't say coloreds." "Well, why not? They're colored clothes." I said, "Yeah, but you call them the colors, or the colored clothes. You can't call them coloreds." And she said, "Well, that's what we call them." Whenever anything got too heavy for Mom, she didn't want to deal with it anymore. She'd just go, "Ah."
yeah.
And that was it in a conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always told her, it's one thing I'm real thankful for, is that I did tell her how I feel. And I told her a lot. I told her how much I loved her. And I told her, you know, if there's anything that you feel you need to be forgiven for, you know, I forgive you. And years ago, I'd forgiven her for everything I knew or I thought she needed to be forgiven for. But maybe there were things she thought she needed to be forgiven for. Just wanted her to know that I didn't have any resentments. There were no resentments, and I really appreciate everything that you did to make up for some of the things that you may have wanted to do but couldn't when I was growing up.
Just remembering her when we lived in Vallecito, she was young and beautiful, and she worked out in the garden, or remember watering the lawn and playing with us. We didn't always get along, but I don't think I've ever met another human being even remotely close to being as remarkable as she was.
I don't know, she was like our little, she was like our headquarters, I guess. Whenever life got too tough or whatever, we couldn't hack it, or we screwed up, or we blew all our money on something dumb, or we got hurt, we would
I mean, she always said at the end, you know, her accomplishments in life were her children. She and her grandchildren. You know, she's you know, since she retired, even before then, I mean, her life was her children and her grandchildren.
She asked me when she was still pretty cognizant. She asked me if she thought people would remember her, and I told her at the time that nobody would have a choice but to remember her. She just was more than other people. Mom was vibrant and alive and very colorful, and she had a lot of character, and I would want her to know that there's just no way There's no way I could ever forget any part of her. If I didn't feel good, she spoiled me rotten and gave me whatever I wanted to eat. And she had this very soft, motherly voice that she'd have just for us only when we weren't feeling good. Remember that. Mostly remember her humor and her generosity. She was very generous, and you know, she's my mother.
Just the sound of her voice. Would call me her little kumquat. Her voice telling me something true that I wasn't ready to hear, but would remember the way it sounded later when it hit me, how true it was. Thanks, Mom.
I guess thank you for me. Because I'm good with me, and she's partially responsible for it. And I feel like I have a lot of tools that most people don't have, and I got them from her. So I would say thank you, and don't worry about me.